I am proud to be a woman and a feminist.
This was Meghan Markle back in 2015 speaking at a UN conference as a women's advocate for political participation and leadership. In this speech, she would go on to tell the story she's told many times since about the time she was 11 years old and she saw a TV commercial for Ivory dishwashing liquid that stated, "Women all over America are fighting greasy pots and pans," followed by two boys in her class remarking,
"Yeah, that's where women belong. In the kitchen."
That made young Meghan feel shocked, angry, and hurt by these remarks, which led her to write letters to Procter & Gamble, the company's president, then First Lady Hillary Clinton, attorney Gloria Allred, and journalists like Linda Ellerbee, expressing her concerns. This would lead her to be featured on the television show Nick News, and then wouldn't you know it, a month later, they changed the ad from women to people, thus reinforcing Meghan Markle's belief that anything is possible. Fast forward to 10 years from her giving that speech, and she ends up on Netflix on a show called With Love, Meghan, where she spends the majority of it in the kitchen.
That doesn't make sense.
Meghan Markle has had quite the trajectory. In a very short span of time, she went from opening up briefcases on Deal or No Deal to being a fairly respectable, albeit small-time actress as a series regular on the legal drama Suits, to actual royalty upon marrying Prince Harry in 2018. Regardless if you care much about the British royal family or not, their union was initially celebrated as a modern fairy tale, but soon became overrun in controversies. From allegations of bullying palace staff to a highly publicized departure from royal duties in 2020, dubbed Mexskit, Markle's journey has been anything but smooth. And most of it was her doing. Since splitting with the British royal family, Harry and Meghan have seen their fair share of failed ventures, like the $20 million deal they struck with Spotify to produce original audio content including Meghan's podcast series Archetypes, which debuted in August 2022. Despite it winning People's Choice Awards for the Pop Podcast of 2022, only one season of Archetypes comprising of 12 episodes was produced over 2.5 years. This limited output led to questions about the value derived from the substantial contract. In June 2023, Spotify and Archwell Audio mutually agreed to end their partnership. Following the termination, Spotify's head of podcast innovation and monetization publicly criticized the couple, referring to them as grifters. Spotify CEO Daniel Ek later commented on the situation, suggesting that the deal didn't work out because it failed to meet consumer expectations and satisfaction, which is putting it lightly because as somebody who tried to listen to the podcast, I could only make it through half an episode. Meghan seemed to lack the skill to naturally lead a conversation, and despite the many celebrity guests, she always had the conversations lead back to her, leaning into the widely held belief that she is a narcissist who has to make herself the center of every situation. But this wasn't the only multi-million-dollar deal they would strike in 2020, coming off the heels of breaking with the British royal family. Archwell Productions, named after their son, struck a deal with Netflix reportedly valued at around $100 million, aimed to produce a variety of content including documentaries, docuseries, feature films, scripted shows, and children's programming. The only successful entry that's come out of the Netflix deal so far is their 2022 docuseries Harry and Meghan, which had them spilling all the royal tea about Harry's upbringing and recounted their whirlwind love story from meeting over Instagram, getting married 2 years later, to only lasting as working royals for the 2 years following until it all unraveled in 2020. In it, Harry made it very clear how much he hated growing up in the spotlight of the public and media, which most people could get behind, especially when you consider what happened to his mother, Princess Diana. But despite any initial sympathies the public had toward them, the docuseries coupled with the disastrous Oprah Winfrey interview had the exact opposite effect of what they were hoping for. Because to many it came off as two extremely entitled people going on and on about how they were victims of everything and everyone around them, especially Harry's family and the British press. Then came Harry's book Spare and South Park's hilarious episode tearing down their contradictory messaging about how they want their privacy.
How dare you, sir! My Instagram-loving wife has always wanted her privacy!
But all we keep getting are products that put them at the center of everything they do, making it pretty clear that it's not privacy they were after when they chose to separate from the British royal family. It was control. Control over their image, their voices, and the freedom to make their own money. Which is all good and well if they had any significant skills or marketable talents besides being linked to Harry's royal lineage, but time and time again they've proven that's all they really have to offer. And here we arrive at With Love Meghan, Meghan Markle's 8-episode attempt to rebrand her image and reestablish herself as a lifestyle guru from when she had a lifestyle blog named The Tig that she ran for 3 years before shutting it down after she started dating Harry. Originally supposed to come out earlier this year, it was moved because of the raging fires that were burning all over Southern California. Of course, that goodwill quickly went out the window when the couple were seen visiting victims of the fires in full view of cameras, sparking many to brand them as disaster tourists rather than being comforting like they most likely assumed it would be. This lack of self-awareness is one of the core reasons why so many people flat out despise them, but in the week since her show was released, it has been met with such widespread animosity that it seems to go deeper than simply not liking them. The Guardian labeled the show as pointless, suggesting it might signal the end of the couple's television endeavors. The Independent described it as queasy and exhausting. The Telegraph went even further, calling it an exercise in narcissism, where celebrity friends laud Markle's virtues over 8 tedious episodes, and so many, many more. To be fair to the lifestyle space she's venturing into, there's also been a lot of bad faith criticism lobbed at this kind of content, with some calling shows like this comfort food for sad old housewives, coming from people who never were going to be the target audience for home and lifestyle content to begin with. They're using it as an excuse to combine their hatred for Meghan with their opinion that all homemaking content is frivolous nonsense. But as someone who enjoys my fair share in well-done, cozy lifestyle content, this is extremely unfair to the hardworking lifestyle icons like Martha Stewart and fans who take inspiration from them. After giving this show a fair chance, I can wholeheartedly say that putting Meghan Markle in the same league as Martha Stewart is an insult to say the least.
Bon appetit, and that's all for today on the French Chef. This is Julia Child.
If you look at the wealth and scope amassed by noteworthy home and lifestyle figures like Martha Stewart, Joanna Gaines, and Erin Napier, it's no wonder Meghan wanted to venture into this territory. Unfortunately for Meg, she doesn't have the down and dirty skills or charisma to pull off a show like Clarkson's Farm or Pamela's Garden of Eden, which showcase celebs making over their real-life properties. And then there's other celebs who want to use their passion for cooking and travel to showcase actual experts and artisans, like Stanley Tucci searching for Italy or Selena and Chef. Instead, Meghan wants to remain the focal point of everything while doing as little as possible. The actual contents of the show isn't comprised of aspirational skills, inspirational achievements, or relatable I'm just like you energy. Instead, Meghan tries her very hardest to be all three, while failing at all three. Because lifestyle content resonates with audiences through 3 primary appeals: relatable, inspirational, and aspirational. Relatable content mirrors the everyday experiences, challenges, and joys of its audiences, fostering a sense of connection and understanding. Creators who share personal stories, daily routines, or common struggles make viewers feel seen and understood. This authenticity builds trust and loyalty, as audiences perceive the content as a reflection of their own lives. For instance, influencers who maintain their down-to-earth demeanor while experimenting with fashion and home trends can effectively balance relatability and aspirational elements, keeping their audience engaged. Scenes of Meghan harvesting honey, making bath salts, making lavender towels, and preparing lavish brunches come off as contrived and disconnected from the average viewer's reality. The entire show's vibe is like an out-of-touch millennial's 2010 Pinterest board come to life. Everything is so meticulously staged that it's less British Bake Off and more Black Mirror combined with Stepford Wives. She keeps trying to seem more down-to-earth and relatable than she is, talking about how she was a latchkey kid eating TV dinners and Jack in the Box when in fact she grew up around the TV industry, going to a private all-girls high school that cost close to $18,000 per year. Stop trying to be something you're not. And then she'll do a 180 and say things like, if you don't have wax on hand to make your homemade beeswax candles, just pop on over to your local beekeeper, as if she's channeling the Gwyneth Paltrow spoof character Annabelle Porter from Parks and Recreation.
Bloosh is a weekly lifestyle email written by Annabelle Porter. She used to be the face of the Eagleton phone book. Then she moved to Hollywood to pursue her dream of becoming friends with a bunch of celebrities. Then she moved back to become a lifestyle guru. She's legit. She spent 4 months living in Kate Bosworth's pool house.
You can get wax from your local beekeeper.
My favorite fishmonger now makes house calls. Oof.
And then there's the jokes. She tries so hard to be funny and charming, it might make you die inside of secondhand embarrassment.
My bacon brings all the boys to the yard.
Compare that with Martha Stewart, whose journey began with hands-on experience and a lifelong belief in the art of homemaking, and how anyone at any financial level could make their home a beautiful place to live. She wasn't trying to pretend to be anything she wasn't, whereas Meghan Markle says in the first episode that she doesn't really like to bake. So why would I take cooking advice from someone who doesn't even enjoy what they're showing me? It would be one thing if the show was built off her inability to cook and featured professional chefs for each episode, similar to Selena and Chef, showing her how to cook, but that's not what the show is doing. She has a couple chefs come in here or there, but they aren't the focal point. They even go out of their way to compliment her just like every other guest on the show. The little tips and tricks she has are either ones that she just learned or they are incredibly impractical, not to mention her affinity for sprinkling dried flowers onto everything from donuts to hummus to sandwiches in an effort to elevate and make everything beautiful. I too love to make things beautiful, but let's wait and see how much those flower sprinkles will set you back once products like this and her preserves go on sale on her website. The show continuously features her trying to engage in activities like cooking, gardening, and crafting, all set against the backdrop of an opulent Montecito home. The couple have made it no secret that they want to embrace the coastal California lifestyle that Meghan coveted growing up in LA, dreaming of one day being able to afford a home like the one seen in the show. But as she is quick to point out in episode 1, this is not her home. Now, the main audience for cooking, gardening, and lifestyle shows are no strangers to the concept of hosts filming in studios or alternate locations. But when you are trying to sell a lifestyle like she is in 2025, you need to be able to bring something unique to a party that's already dominated by talented DIY online personalities and HGTV professionals. A show like this might have been a novel concept in the 1990s, but now we can simply open up Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, or watch the never-ending hours of home tips and tricks on YouTube made by creative content creators. And if celebrity lifestyles are your thing, you can peek inside real homes on Architectural Digest's YouTube channel and so many more. That's real. That's appealing. Now, to give credit to where credit is due, the show's director, Mike Steed, worked with Anthony Bourdain on the CNN show Parts Unknown, so it was always going to be beautifully shot and impeccably edited regardless of whose house it was filmed in. But why this house? Well, it's because it's exactly the kind of old money, quiet luxury, quaint and cozy image Meghan, and by extension her new brand, are trying to convey. One with taste. One with style. But is it her taste and her style? No. This house is straight out of a Nancy Meyers movie, an inspiration that Meghan ends up name-dropping several episodes in. Except Meghan couldn't figure out which Nancy Meyers home to emulate, so they came up with a way to mash them all together. While it's still millions of dollars, it represents a level of refinement and coziness that can still be attainable if you work hard enough. In an interview with People magazine, she spoke about wanting to protect her safe haven and how having an 80-person film crew inside her own home would be way too much. But here's the thing, her house is much larger than the rental home they used to film the showing. This choice was more about aesthetics than it was about privacy. Meghan wanted to portray an easy-breezy homemaker, but their real-life home is a double the price, almost 19,000 square foot Mediterranean-style mega mansion with 16 bathrooms that doesn't exactly whisper quiet luxury and a kitchen spent making homemade preserves that her brand, as ever, is trying to give off. And they bought it while they both were technically unemployed at that. How's that for relatable? Released amidst global economic challenges makes its tone-deaf opulence even more glaring. Regular people are worried about the rising cost of eggs, but if you're Meghan Markle, you can simply pop out to your chicken coop filled with rescue chickens. The emphasis on luxury and exclusivity without genuine relatability or practical takeaways positions the show as an indulgent vanity project rather than an earnest attempt to connect with an audience. And then there's her wardrobe. One beige and impractical outfit after another. She tries to play off her Zara pants in one scene as being down to earth, but when you dig a little deeper to see how expensive most of the pieces really are, and multiply them at that because of all the wardrobe changes in each episode, there's no way it can be relatable to anyone who isn't filthy rich. Inspirational content seeks to motivate and uplift by showcasing narratives of personal growth, resilience, or creativity. It encourages audiences to reflect on their own lives and consider new possibilities. This type of content often highlights achievable goals and emphasizes the journey over the destination, making it both motivating and accessible. For example, a creator sharing their fitness journey, complete with setbacks and triumphs, can inspire viewers to embark on their own health endeavors. Martha Stewart, for example, showcased an elevated lifestyle, but she presented it in a way that felt achievable to her audience, even striking a deal with Kmart in the 1980s to become their lifestyle and entertainment consultant when others would have scoffed at the idea to have their name attached to a retailer that was anything but luxury. Whereas with Love Meghan is a lesson in unobtainability. You might be able to emulate the recipes, which are all stolen from other sources, by the way. Go ahead. Look up every recipe and trick and you'll find dozens of images when they've been done before in blogs and on social media. But you will never be able to do it just like her without an extreme amount of time on your hands and funds in your bank account. The time you'll need to spend on decanting everything from its original packaging into beautifully curated clear or beige labelless containers, or vessels as she likes to call things, will eat up all the time you actually need to cook everything. Lucky for us, most of the things she prepares doesn't actually require any real cooking ability. The charcuterie boards and crudité platters that Meghan prepares for her guests are met with awe and praise. Let's hope our loved ones will be that impressed by our ability to arrange cold cuts, fruits, and cheeses on a plate. Aspirational content presents an idealized lifestyle or status that audiences may desire to attain. It often features luxury, exclusivity, or high achievement, creating a sense of longing or ambition. Brands that previously focused solely on aspirational imagery have faced criticism for promoting unrealistic standards, leading to shifts toward more inclusive representation. Brands or public figures that have been able to successfully navigate these pitfalls usually do so by proving their status was earned and not given. Martha Stewart's appeal as a lifestyle guru stemmed from a unique blend of authenticity, expertise, and earned aspirational content that resonated with a broad audience. She grew into someone you could aspire to emulate or learn from because we knew that her massive empire and wealth came from her putting in the work, making her a unique blend of being relatable, given where she started from, inspirational since she worked her way up, and eventually aspirational minus the whole going to jail thing, but that's actually made her way more relatable in the long run. And if you watch her documentary, it's pretty clear she never really cared what anyone thought of her to begin with. Unlike Meghan Markle, who seems to care a great deal about what others think of her and desperately wants to be liked. We cannot aspire to be like Meghan Markle. Sussex, as she points out to Mindy Kaling in a clip that has since gone viral for its awkwardness.
I nearly lost my name. I mean, there's the loss of identity.
Loves it.
Funny too that you keep saying Meghan Markle. You know I'm Sussex now.
And calling into question why she's trying to pass off a royal title as a surname, since that's not really how these things are supposed to work. She married a literal prince, but instead of sticking around and living that princess life, she and her husband broke from said royal family in the most public and insulting way possible. So why is it that in the end credits of every episode, it's proudly proclaimed that it was executive produced by Meghan, Duchess of Sussex? But they didn't even want anything to do with his family.
That doesn't make sense.
If she is trying to stand on her own 2 feet as this aspiring female entrepreneur building her own brand, then why is her brand being built off the back of a title that shouldn't even be recognized in the United States? She's no more a duchess than the people who bought into that established title scam that sold people a piece of paper proclaiming they were the lord and lady of somewhere in Scotland. Truth is, regardless of what your stance is on monarchies, being a working member of the British royal family looks exhausting and is a huge responsibility. Just look at her sister-in-law and father-in-law who've gone through cancer treatments and have resumed public engagements like nothing happened. People would have respected them more if they were upfront about not wanting that kind of responsibility and just wanted to be private citizens with no titles and privilege, much like Princess Anne did for her children. She purposely chose not to give her children titles and keep them away from the spotlight, something her daughter, Harry's cousin, Zara, has spoken positively about. Meghan's insistence that she be called Sussex proves that she wants to disown Harry's family while still profiting off them. Pick a lane. You can't have both. In 2025, maintaining authenticity while presenting aspirational lifestyles is key to sustaining trust and connection. By thoughtfully integrating relatable, inspirational, and aspirational elements, creators and brands can craft content that not only captivates, but also fosters genuine connection with their audiences, something With Love Meghan is woefully missing. Meghan Markle has not earned the right to stand alongside other entrepreneurial women in the lifestyle space, and celebrating her for stealing others' ideas and packaging them in a way that is unattainable for most is an insult to people like Martha Stewart, Tabitha Brown, and the countless independent creators out there. The show was only out for 3 days when headlines started circulating that it had been renewed for a second season, with Meghan celebrating the announcement on her Instagram. But this too is a farce, since in fact the second season has already been filmed. Even her retitled brand, As Ever, hasn't quite worked out what it wants to be, but at least it no longer is going by the original name of American Riviera Orchard, which would have been even more pretentious and forgettable. But I'll give her credit for one thing: she has beautiful penmanship. In essence, With Love Meghan serves as a cautionary tale of how not to pivot into lifestyle television. It underscores the importance of authenticity, relatability, and genuine expertise, qualities that, unfortunately, are glaringly absent from this production. And going back to that 2015 speech where she made it clear how insulted her 11-year-old self was at the sexist commercial stating that women across America are fighting greasy pots and pans, maybe it was really the thought of being one of those women that insulted her the most. If With Love Meghan is any indication, she won't ever have to be the one cleaning the never-ending amount of clear and beige vessels because she has staff to do that, so problem solved. But what do you think? Do you think she's being judged too unfairly? Or do you just not care? Judging by her show almost being out of the top 10 in less than a week, it seems that most people who have tried have already given up.
This party is over. It no longer is, it was.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more pop culture raves and rants. And with that said, thanks for watching, and until next time, stay cultured.